Let me ask you something. You're out on the ice, you've got the best gear, the perfect bait, you're on a hot spot, but you're getting nothing, not a single bite. Meanwhile, the old-timer 50 yards away in a dull, faded coat is pulling up fish after fish. You ever wonder if your brand new bright as the sun jacket is the real problem? Today, we're tackling a controversial topic. Can your bright clothing actually be the reason you're going home empty-handed from an ice fishing trip? Stick with me because what I'm about to share might completely change how you dress for the ice. The answer isn't as simple as yes or no, and it might expose a massive mistake thousands of anglers are making right now. Before we even start, let me know in the comments. Do you think your jacket color matters? Yes or no? Let's see who's right by the end. For years, we've been told what matters is what's under the ice. The lure, the line, the bait. We spend hundreds, even thousands of dollars on sonars and augers. But we often grab the warmest and usually brightest jacket off the rack without a second thought. The common wisdom is that fish can't see you through a foot or two of snow-covered ice. It sounds logical, right? The ice is a solid barrier, but what if that's a dangerous oversimplification? What if we've been ignoring a key piece of the puzzle all along, a piece that's staring us right in the face every time we look in the mirror before heading out? Let's set the scene. It's early morning, the sun is just starting to hit the ice, it's dead quiet. You drill your hole, drop your line, and you're filled with that familiar anticipation. You're wearing your new high-visibility orange parka because, hey, safety first, right? You feel confident. But an hour goes by, then two. The only thing you've caught is a cold nose. You start to question your bait, your spot, everything except the giant orange beacon you're wearing. This exact scenario plays out on frozen lakes all over the country, every single weekend. Anglers blame the weather, the barometric pressure, or bad luck, when the real culprit might be their wardrobe. Now let's get right to the heart of it. The big question is not if fish can see you, but what they see. Fish don't see the world like we do. They perceive shapes, contrasts, and movements. They are hardwired for survival, which means anything unnatural or threatening sends them scattering. They're not looking up and thinking, hey, that's a nice jacket. They're sensing a large, unfamiliar shadow or a bright, threatening color overhead. And their instinct is to flee, not bite. That's the first piece of this puzzle we absolutely need to understand before we can move on. So let's talk about the ice itself for a minute. A lot of guys think ice is like a concrete wall. It's not. Clean, black ice is surprisingly transparent, and even ice with a layer of snow on top isn't a perfect blackout curtain. It diffuses light. Think of it like a frosted bathroom window. You can't see details clearly, but you can definitely see a large, dark shape or a bright color moving behind it. That diffusion can make a bright color appear as a massive, unnatural blob of light from below, which is something that simply does not exist in their natural world. Okay, so what about shadows? This is where it gets really interesting. On a bright, sunny day, you are casting a shadow. Even if you're wearing a white jacket to blend in with the snow, your body, your sled, your gear, it all creates a dark shape on the underside of the ice. Fish that cruise in shallow water, like perch or crappie, are extremely sensitive to overhead predators like birds of prey. Your shadow moving around your hole looks exactly like a predator, and that alone can be enough to shut the bite down completely in your immediate area. This leads to a logical question. Why are so many ice fishing suits bright yellow, red, or orange? The primary reason is safety, and it's a damn good one. If you go through the ice, or if you get lost in a whiteout, that bright color could save your life. Nobody is arguing against that. Manufacturers designed them this way for visibility to other people. The problem is, they didn't necessarily design them for visibility to fish. It's a classic conflict between being seen by your buddies and being hidden from your quarry. And for too long, we've only considered one side of that equation. Let's talk about fish vision specifically. Fish eyes are a marvel of evolution, and they are not like ours. Many species, especially those in clear water, have excellent color vision. In fact, some can see into the ultraviolet spectrum, which is invisible to us. While the water and ice filter out certain colors, others penetrate deeper. Blues and greens travel farthest underwater, but in the shallow zone, right under the ice, a much wider spectrum of light is present. That screaming yellow jacket might look like a muted blob to the fish, but it's a blob that absolutely does not belong there. The water depth factor is absolutely critical here. Does your clothing color matter if you're fishing for lake trout in 100 feet of water? Honestly, probably not. The amount of light reaching that depth is minimal, and the fish's attention is focused elsewhere. But if you're targeting panfish, perch, or walleye in 5 to 15 feet of water, especially on a clear day with clear ice, you better believe it can make a world of difference. The shallower you fish, the more you need to think like a hunter and less like a brightly colored tourist on their territory. Let me tell you about a real-life situation. I was on a small lake, fishing for crappie in about 8 feet of water. I was in a bright red suit. My buddy, about 30 yards away, was in an old, drab brown hunting jacket. For 2 solid hours, he was catching them one after another. I got one single bite. We were using the exact same lure, the exact same line. The only significant difference was what we were wearing. Coincidence? Maybe. But after I swapped my jacket for a dark hoodie I had in my truck, my luck changed almost immediately. Anecdotes aren't data, but enough of them start to paint a picture. So, what is the danger zone for a fish? Think of it this way. A fish has a cone of vision looking up towards the surface. The shallower the water, the wider that cone appears to be. When you stand or sit right over your hole, you are smack in the middle of that cone. Every movement you make, every time you stand up to stretch, you are creating a major disturbance in their world. If you're also a giant, brightly colored object, you're amplifying that disturbance tenfold. You're basically screaming "predator" through a megaphone without making a sound. And let's not forget that color is only one part of this equation. Your presence on the ice creates noise and vibrations. Dropping gear, shuffling your feet, even drilling holes, it all travels through the ice and into the water. Now imagine a fish is already on edge from these vibrations. Then it looks up and sees a massive, unnatural color blob moving around. The combination of the sound and the sight is a powerful 1-2 punch that can send an entire school of fish heading for the hills. It's sensory overload for them. There's an old school attitude that fish are dumb and just react to bait. That is a huge, fundamental mistake. Fish, especially the larger, older ones we're all after, are survivors. They didn't get big by being stupid. They are incredibly attuned to their environment and can detect the slightest thing that is out of place. They know what the underside of the ice is supposed to look like. They know the normal light patterns. Your bright jacket is a massive deviation from that norm. An experienced fish will avoid it out of pure instinct. But what about cloudy days? That's a great question. On a heavily overcast day, or in low-light conditions like dawn and dusk, the effect is definitely lessened. The light is much more diffused and shadows are softer. In these situations, your bright clothing is less likely to be a major factor. However, less likely doesn't mean impossible. Contrast still matters. A bright shape against a uniform grey sky can still be visible from below. The safest bet is to always assume you are being watched, regardless of the weather conditions. So what's the solution here? It's simple, really. You need to adopt a stealth approach. Think of ice fishing like you think of bow hunting. You wouldn't go sit in a deer stand wearing a blaze orange suit unless the law required it, right? You'd wear camouflage to break up your outline and blend in. The very same principle applies on the ice. Darker, more natural colors like gray, dark green, brown, or even white. And snow camo are far better choices. They help you blend in with the background and minimize your threatening profile from below. Here is a practical experiment that you can try on your next trip out. If you have one, bring an old, dark-colored sweatshirt or jacket with you. Start the day fishing in your usual bright gear. If the bite is slow and you're marking fish on the flasher that just won't commit, make a change. Put on the dark jacket, sit still for 15 minutes. Don't change your lure or anything else, just change your profile. See what happens next. You might be completely shocked at the results. It's the best way to prove it to yourself without any doubt. This whole theory is basically proven by the incredible effectiveness of an ice fishing shelter. Why do people often catch so many more fish from inside a dark tent? Because it completely blocks out the light and hides your silhouette. You create a dark, quiet space that eliminates the overhead threat. A fish swimming by sees nothing but another dark patch on the underside of the ice, which is natural. If you don't have a tent, wearing dark clothing is simply the next best thing to creating your own personal zone of stealth. Now I know some of you are still thinking, well, but what about safety? And you are 100% right to be concerned. Here is the perfect compromise. Wear a dark or camo suit as your main fishing gear, but keep a blaze orange or bright yellow safety vest or hat in your sled. If you're moving between spots, especially on a big lake with snowmobile traffic, put it on. When you get to your spot and settle in to fish, you can take it off. This gives you the best of both worlds, high visibility and safety when you're moving, and complete stealth when you're fishing. Look, we all know that great fishermen are the ones who pay attention to the little things, the 1% details. Is your jacket color the only reason you're not catching fish? Of course not. Your location, your bait, and your presentation are still king. But on a tough day, when the fish are spooky and non-committal, minimizing your presence can be that 1% difference that turns a complete blank into a successful day. It's another tool in your toolbox, another crucial variable you can finally control. I want you to try to put yourself in the fish's fins for just a second. You live in a world where danger almost always comes from above. A shadow, a disturbance, a strange color. It all signals a potential threat. Your entire life is spent avoiding eagles, ospreys, otters, and bigger fish. You are programmed to be wary of the ceiling of your world. When we stomp around on top of it wearing colors that don't exist in nature, we are confirming their worst fears. It's really that simple when you think about it from their perspective. If you still need convincing, start paying attention to a lot of the serious tournament-level ice anglers. You'll start to notice a trend. While some still wear sponsored, brightly colored suits for the cameras, many are quietly moving towards more subdued, darker colors. They understand the game of inches. They know that on a high-pressure lake, every little advantage counts. They aren't doing it for fashion, they're doing it because they believe it helps them put more and bigger fish on the ice, period. And here's the final piece of evidence. Just think about open water fishing for a moment. Would you wear a neon yellow shirt while trying to sight fish for spooky trout in a crystal clear stream? Absolutely not. You'd wear drab, natural colors and try to blend in with the shoreline. Why on earth should ice fishing be any different? The only thing that has changed is the state of the water between you and the fish. But the fish's instincts, honed over millions of years, haven't changed at all. We need to respect that instinct and adapt. So, let's bring it all home. Can your bright jacket be the reason for your tough day on the ice? The evidence strongly suggests that in many situations, especially in shallower water with clear ice, the answer is a resounding yes. It's not about the fish seeing you and your fancy logo. It's about them seeing an unnatural blob of color and a threatening shadow, triggering their ancient survival instincts to flee. The biggest takeaway here, the real holy cow moment, is that we've been so focused on the tech in our hands, the sonars and the lures, that we've completely forgotten about the most obvious thing, our own giant, brightly colored presence. We've been a part of the problem without even realizing it. This changes things because it shifts the focus back to basic woodsmanship and stealth. It reminds us that fishing is hunting. Thank you for sticking with me through this. If you found this helpful, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe for more content that cuts through the noise. Now I want to hear from you after hearing all this. Are you going to reconsider your ice fishing wardrobe? Or do you still think it's all a bunch of nonsense? Let the debate begin in the comments below. Stay safe and tight lines.